Dhamma cannot be just listened. It cannot be thought or thinking through. For example, while listening to Dhamma or reading Tipitaka or the teachings, these are mindfulness and wisdom of the Buddha and the masters and arahants. It is not our knowledge or wisdom. We cannot use that to fight against defilements. Like Dhamma, through listening and reading, it's like it seems you want to understand it, but you don't truly understand it because it couldn't be understood through thinking, because we're thinking through defilements. We're thinking through the power of defilements. So it's going to become counterfeit Dhamma. That's why even Luangpu Man, Honorable Master Luangpu Man, once the Dhamma enters the hearts of worldly beings, worldly people, it will be counterfeit, it will be fake. As we all gain the counterfeit Dhamma, it's because we don't have the eyes to see the Dhamma, which we have to develop, which is one of the noble paths. As long as we don't have the eyes for the Dhamma, then these Dhamma will be fake or counterfeit. To practice Dhamma, no matter how much you listen, you won't get it. Therefore, you have to come to practice. The Eightfold Noble Path can be boiled down to morality, samadhi, and wisdom. The wisdom can be categorized into two parts. The first one is initial level, and the ultimate level, which is the result of the ultra-mundane wisdom. The initial wisdom is about listening to the Dhamma. Once listening to the Dhamma, we do that in order to gain the understanding of the Dhamma practice. And when we come to practice, one of the most important things that you have to be careful about is your thoughts. People will become good or evil because of their thoughts. Therefore, if we understand the Dhamma practice and how to cultivate the full foundation of mindfulness, we come to observe ourselves, what's behind our thoughts. Is it greed or non-greed? Is it anger or non-anger? Is it delusion or non-delusion? If there are greed, aversion, delusions, and non-greed, non-aversion, non-delusion, these 6 factors, there are three evil factors and good factors, 3 good factors. So we have to carefully observe with our thoughts whether it's normally was overwhelmed by the defilements, or was fabricated by the defilements. So look closely when you come to practice Dhamma. You want to be calm. The thoughts, your thoughts, for example, when will I become calm? This is actually when you fabricate your mind. It's actually called gudguja, which is the restlessness of the mind. Right? You become being restless. When you're gonna gain the fruit of the practice, or you become disheartened. These disheartened is actually when you become drowsy. It's called Tina Bita in Bali. So you have to carefully observe yourself, what's behind the behavior, what's control your behavior, starting from the mental behavior, whether it's wholesome or unwholesome. You have to look closely. For example, when you come to make merit through different monasteries and temples, you start off by saying that, like, Lord, please have mercy, these kind of things. You starting with this thread, you haven't started doing any good things, but you start by asking for things. So if your mind just keep on asking for things, your mind is greedy. Uh, it's not good. If you want to ask for something, you should ask for understanding the Dhamma according to Lord Buddha, the Buddha. When you do any good deeds, whatever you do, you have to have the mission to gain the understanding according to the Buddha. If you ask like this, then that's okay. You shouldn't ask for something else. If you ask for like fortune or money, you don't have to. Because if you have the merits, then these things will come eventually. But if you don't never make merit or give dana to anyone or anything, you won't be able to achieve it. You'll be in deficit. So you have to adjust your notion, your thoughts. Your thought is very important. The thought is the one that lead the way. Lead the way, lead the behavior through of the mental and the physical and the livelihood as well. If you have the wrong thoughts, then your speech will be false and your action will be incorrect as well. To live in livelihood will be wrong as well. If you have the right thoughts, then your action and speech will be correct. The livelihood will be correct as well, will be right as well. So thoughts is a very important issue. Most people, when they think of themselves, they couldn't understand, they couldn't figure out that they are thinking through the developments. Therefore, we have to come closely look, observe ourselves, what thoughts, what the mind that the thoughts that we are thinking, whether it's controlled by wholesome or unwholesomeness. Keep observing them. For example, when we met someone, we admire them, like it, and you think that's the right speech, and you admire them because you're admiring them. But actually, there's might some defilements behind these speech, like you're afraid of them. If you condemn them, then you'll be killed or some damage. Or if you talked about like governmental officials, then you have to pay respect to them, but your mind scold them. So the behavior of the physique is irrespecting to them. You have to be aware of that too. Be aware that your mind now actually hate them, but the physical expression is according to the societal norms, not according to all the things that you think all the time. That's not what the Buddha taught us. Not just we do whatever we think, not like that. Instead, we have to be aware of our minds, not letting the departments control our mind. But once we acting out, when we doing something, we have to be knowing these things. You have to know what's the right place and right time to do what things. You have to be aware of this. You have to abide by the societal norms so that you become a good person for the society. But for your mind, you shouldn't be fooled by your mind. If you hate it, you know so. If you hate them, but you know so. But then have a sweet smile. Even you hate them, you have to smile sweetly. You have to be aware of that too. You be aware of the smiling. But the more important thing is you have to be aware of your own mind. The more you know in your mind, then the speech will be clean and clear more and more. When we have to meet with the evil persons, we just speak something so that we don't cause enemy. We have to know how to survive these kind of situations. Or you are in circle of people who are drinking alcohol, and you're only the one that don't drink. How could you blend with them? We have to have the saparisatam in Bali, which is when you know the place or time, the person, what should you do, what should you not do, and you can blend in with the world. But we do not become the slave of the world. We can survive the world. We don't try to contradict or against the world. Otherwise, you'll become exhausted easily, too much. For example, myself, I like to practice Dhamma when I was in my workplace. If I have to sitting meditation, walking meditations, people will look at me in a curious way and try to being picky with me, and I have to explain a lot of things to them, and they will laugh at me because they don't understand. So I practice Dhamma in this world, and I blend it with the world. Nobody knows that I'm practicing Dhamma at all. When I walk into the workplace, my mind, what my mind is like, I know so. When I go to lunch, the mind likes it or not dislike it, I know so. When I once finish the lunch, I want to walk meditations. If I just go stand up and walk back and forth in a workplace, it will be bizarre. I won't be able to blend in. So I try to blend in by not doing something peculiar. I do that by walking to the temple nearby. I think that I thought to myself that I walk go for 20 minutes and back for another 20 minutes. I walked from the Somanat Vihan. I crossed the bridge to Kongpadong Gungasem canals and go to different temples like what Benjamin Baptist temples. I walk with the self-awareness. I didn't lift nor or step down nor step up nor. I didn't do that. I walk with self-awareness. Otherwise, the car will crash us. Whatever I do become self-aware. I walk I look left and right while crossing the road. These are all Dharma practice. I walk with the self-awareness. When I walk on the footpath, I walk in a natural way with self-awareness. Once we reach the temple, I don't have much time. I stand in front of the chapel and then and chanting Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. These short mantra. These mantra is actually the exclamation of the celestial beings and Mara as well. They all conclude to be Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. This is actually cover all the virtue of Lord Buddha, the three virtues of Lord Buddha. So I just pray for a short mantra and thinking of the virtue of Lord Buddha. He's the one that describe the Dhamma. He's a Bhagavato, and he's also Arahato. He's an Arahant, and Samma Sambuddhassa. He has the wisdom to understand the Dhamma by himself. These short mantra actually cover all the three virtues of Lord Buddha. When you pay respect to the Lord Buddha, we're thinking of the virtue of the Buddha, and then I came back. When you think of the virtues of the Buddha, is when you meditate, and when you meditating in smarta practice. When you think of the Buddha. And once I came back to the workplace, I came back with the mindfulness, with the self-awareness, and continue working. Once the end of the day, I went back to the house. I went back home and I just washing, taking shower, and eat something, the Bangkok is very chaotic, so I have to relax for a bit. Just when you being so chaotic in the Bangkok, in the city center of the Bangkok, and come to sitting meditation right away, it will be very difficult. So you have to understand this trick as well. Before sitting or walking meditations, I try to relax my mind first. Some days I reading comic books, the children comics books. I'm not sure whether they're still available these days, like Kai Hua or Mahasanuk. These are the Tuệ Tune. These are the titles of the Thai comic books. I bought all kinds of Tuệ Tune in Thai, which is the title of comic books. I bought all series of them. There's only the content is about the Chinese and Egypt, the all repetitive. The gigs was very repetitive, and when I read and I knew I heard this one. I heard this gag, and I didn't know this gag. Why I read these comics books? I want to change the emotion. I didn't try to become spectacular or anything. Once you're reading comic books, sometimes you giggle, sometimes you're not. You're just trying to change your emotion. That's it. That's all. So whenever you become so stressful and to suffer, before coming to practice Dhamma, then you have to have some tactics. These are worldly people. Worldly people. You change the emotion first. Change the emotions to something that not entices your defilement. If you're looking at the adult comic books, that will make your defilement growing. Now people don't look at books anymore. They're looking from YouTube on the internet. And you have to choose it wisely, because in there's a good and bad things. There are also toxic things as well. If your mind wanted to, for example, watching porn, you have to be aware first. Be aware of your mind first, and then try to contemplate whether it's appropriate for you to do now. If it's not appropriate yet, then do not do so. Then there's a teaching of Luangpu Pramote. I actually call myself Luangpo because I'm not very accustomed to Luangpu. Luangpu was called by the master. The master said, my master said that, come, my disciple, and pay respect to this Luangpu. And the wordings of the master is very important and sacred. So I abide by his wordings, his command. But I'm not accustomed to referring myself as Luangpu yet. So you have to train yourself every day. Even you are worldly people, lay people, you have to be aware whether which one is or which is supposed to do, supposed not to. For example, when you like arranging the flowers behind on the background like this, there are many people want to arrange the flowers, the bouquet of flowers. Some people like it, some people didn't like it. If you, for the florist will be admired sometime and won't be sometime. So if your mind is happy, no so, unhappy, no so. And when you arrange these kind of style, you have to be aware of that too. You arrange it. You organize these flowers because you want to satisfy yourself or worship to the Lord Buddha. Well, you like this way. You think that this way is the best. So you have to be aware what's behind your actions. Even just arranging flowers like this, it can be observed. When you talk, what's behind the talk? What's behind the actions, like arranging flowers or cookings? You have to be aware of these things. For example, when you're cooking, you want to give to people and they admire them. Especially for housewives, they very diligent at cookings, and and the husband just eating and looking at their mobile phones. Just pay attention to the mobile phones, not the food, and the housewife feel sorry. If you feel sorry, then no, so do not whining. So you have to be aware of your mind. If your mind is wholesome or unwholesome, no, so then the life will be easier, will be more comfortable, with less contradictions, and you won't be so sorry or disappointed. You expecting good things, but other people didn't know, didn't see the value you've been doing. You become sulky. No, so actually, Dhamma is not far away from you. Actually, Dhamma is within yourself. It's very delicate, very subtle, and actually within you. It's actually your mind. The mind is the one actually closest to you. So keep on observing your feelings, and once you've been knowing your feelings, then your speech will be better, will be good. For example, you are the cook and you are very exhausted yourself cooking. The husband just eating and just looking at the phones, and you become sulky. You have to be aware of the sulkiness within your heart, and that's it. But if you become sulky and you feel that you have to express something, so you be being sarcastic, saying that, why don't you just marry the mobile phone then? It causes some contradictions. Um, if you're being sarcastic, is actually controlled by the departments. There's departments behind those speech. If you say, for example, you're so beautiful today, like an angel, but within your mind, you feel like you are like an angel, like demon angel, even though your speech is good, but within your heart is very evil. You want to make it feel more sarcastic. It's very important. So that will be wrong speech. It's important that you have to be aware of your mind as much as you can, but it's not like you sit and take a look and stare at the mind. Not like that. Otherwise, the mind will be still. It will be like a very naughty child. Once when it will be it is stared at, if it's controlled, that will be still, and it won't move anything. But if you just chill out and let the child go playing, that will show that true colors. So you don't have to like stare at it. You let it go along, go as it wants. And if sometimes it's fabricate good things or bad things, you have to be aware of them. Just trying to like observe, but not staring. If you uh, if you is have a wrong speech and you have a wrong livelihood, if you're thinking good, then that's your wisdom to be aware of your own mind. This is actually the wisdom itself. So the right view, the right speech, these are in the category of wisdom. When you're trying to be aware of your mind, whether it's thinking good or thinking bad, this is actually one of the wisdom. Once the wisdom can control the mind, then the morality will be better. The morality is actually your speech and action, the livelihood. It will be pure and good. Once you have the mindfulness and wisdom to see, observe your mind more and more, then morality is better, it's good. To train your mind, which is fourth in category of samadhi, training your mind, there are right efforts. Samma vayama, samma sati, right mindfulness, and samma samadhi, the right samadhi. Samma vayama, or the right effort, is about the mind. It's about the samadhi. Right mindfulness is about the mental parts as well. As this goes the same to the right samadhi. If you have the wisdom in the beginning, actually I told you that there are two levels of this wisdom, the initial wisdom and the ultimate wisdom, like ultra-mundane wisdom. But first you need to develop the initial wisdom. You know what to practice, how to practice. And while practicing, you have to be aware, be observant of your thoughts, and then your morality will be better, will be good. Once your morality is good, then your mind will easily become calm. And then you have to have the right effort. Like you be being determined to fight against defilements and have you being determined to prosper the wholesomeness. You have the determination and bravery to fight against defilements. To fight against defilements requires a lot of bravery. Weak people cannot win the defilements. You have to be brave enough. So if you can control and be aware of your thoughts, then to fight against defilements is not something difficult anymore. Because when defilements arises, you are aware of them. You don't satisfy the defilements. But once the wholesomeness arises and you be aware of it, then you have to train yourself. We start from maintain the 5 precepts and to going to the next level to train your mind is no longer difficult. You see, for example, you see the wholesome and unwholesomeness behind your speech and actions, then your speech and actions livelihood will be better, will be good, and then you become expert at observing your mind. So try to observe the mind as much as possible, what's behind the actions and what's behind the thoughts, whether it's wholesomeness or unwholesomeness. The more you observe it, the more you being aware of these things, and that's the right effort. Whether once the defilements arises, no, so and the defilements will fall away. When wholesomeness arises, that which is actually, for example, self-awareness. Self-awareness more, then wholesomeness will be more and more. This when you have the right effort to fight against defilements. When you have the more and more right effort to observe your mind, then wholesomeness will prosper. So both wholesomeness and unwholesomeness are within our mind. So we have to be diligent at observing your mind, of our mind, more and more. That you being diligent at doing this, that's actually the right mindfulness. The right mindfulness is the one that be aware of the body and mind. But if you walk the path of the being aware of the thoughts, is actually about the mental parts, the mind. But for the speech, actions, and livelihoods, that belongs to physical parts. When you see the movements within your body or mind, you be aware of these two. Then to cultivate a full balance of mindfulness are no longer difficult because you have trained yourself to be aware of the body and mind as much as possible. So you have the mindfulness to be aware of the body and mind. The mindfulness is the one that recognizes these things. Why we can recognize this? Because it can firmly recognize the phenomena. To firmly recognize the phenomena, you have to be aware of the knowing or being aware of the phenomena as much as possible. Some people, Master said that you can observe the mind, observe the mind. If you cannot observe the mind, observe the body instead. When I'm practicing, I came to Master Luangpu Dun, and he taught me to observe my mind. Because I've been doing a lot of samadhi, mindfulness is very strong. I can practice further. My mind is something is very subtle and very swift. It's like a shadow. In order to catch the shadow, it's not something easy. The mind is, there's no form like shadow. It's as if you can touch it, but you cannot. It's like an illusion. It's like a dream. It's like it's something that very subtle. If you don't have the mindfulness quick enough, your samadhi is not strong enough, then you cannot observe the mind. If you can observe the mind and observe the body instead. Master Luangpu Dun taught me to observe my mind at the very beginning because I've been practicing samadhi for a long time. My mind has become self with me, which becomes self-aware. Unlike the rest of you, the mind is not really with yourself. It's keep wandering away. The mind is like what to say, like stray dogs. I'm not trying to looking down onto you, but mine is like stray dogs. What the stray dogs do, once it's hungry, they're trying to searching for food here and there. If there's no here, they go into different garbages pile and going to different pile of garbages. The mind is like stray dogs. It hungry for objects, for emotions, for things that it likes, that makes it happy. Once it couldn't find happy objects, and you try to find like different things, like for example, watching movie, listen to music. You think that you listen to the music, it makes you happy, then you couldn't become satiated, so you go look for other things. Once you haven't become satiated yet, but then you'll become bored and you keep on straying, wandering to other things. You have like your straying mind is full of, there's never been full. There's only craving. The craving for things, it never been saturated. So you have to keep on running around, wandering around. There's no end. So once we come to train our mind, how to make mind not wandering away, straying like that, we have to find a food for the mind. Like in this monastery, cats and dogs. Each cats and dogs are very lumpy. They don't want to eat anymore because they're full. Once they're full, they lie down. The mind is like that. If you have the objects that the mind likes, it won't go away. It won't be naughty. It will be stay at the object, stay with the objects. That's actually the tricks of the smart practice. The mind is like a stray dog, running around, wandering, searching for food through six and doors. No matter how hard you try, it never been satiated. Even in this life, you will never be satiated. You will have to go for these foods for next life. So you come and take a look, observe your mind. The way that we train the mind, there are differentiated into two parts. The first one, if it's exhausted, you find some happy objects for the mind to rest, to consume. For example, for myself, I would like to rest with the breath, like breathe in boo, breathe out do, breathe in boo, breathe out do. Just a few breaths and my mind's become calm. So there another trick. Once if your mind is not calm, do not crave for calmness. Do not try to control the mind to be calm. The more what you want it to be calm, then it will be even more exhausted. Your won't mind won't be able to get rest. So if your mind is restless and deteriorate, do not be startled. Just know it in a in a neutral way that now the mind is deteriorating. Do not just struggling, trying to make it better. If you know it's a neutral way, then the mind will get some rest. Then after a while, it will gain some strength again. When I practice them, I try to observe when I was practicing rest as a lay, I observe myself there's ups and downs, cycle. The one cycles is 7 days. Some it depends on individuals. Some people 7, some people 6, some people 5 days. But for some people, deteriorate all their life because they never practice, and that's excluded. That will be excluded. But for me, the cycle from there's a top and bottom that lasts 7 days. So you can observe yourself, but you have to practice every day. It's not like when you practice and it going well and become top, and then you don't want to practice anymore at its bottom. Then that's not good. That will then if you do that, then if you will lose um, your promise to yourself if you don't practice every day. You cannot you cannot win yourself. Then how could you defeat other people? So I practice every day the same as always, like every day. But I could see the ups and downs. Like for example, the mindfulness is very swift, very, and the samadhi is very stable, and it's very swift, and like you have a sharp knife and cutting down like branches in front of you, you can cut them down very easily. Once they keep cutting down, and then the knife become uh, not sharp anymore. I felt that the mind is not sharp anymore. The branch and the trees are never got cut. This is when it's at its bottom, at its low. But I'm keep on practicing. Once the time comes, I breathe in, breathe out, and in the midday, I walk in and sitting meditations to the temple. I keep doing this without quitting, and to one day, the mind gains strength and becomes ups again. So ups and low, and there are ups and downs. My cycle lasts 7 days. It depends on each individual, so you have to observe yourself. Some people have 1 month cycle, like you're at the top one day, and another 28 days will be at the low. That's not good. If it's down, then you shouldn't be disheartened. Even though you become disheartened, you have to fight. I'll give you an example. There was one of my disciples. He's practicing very in a difficult way. Once they become aware of the body movements, and it will be ups, and then it's wrong again, and it's downs, and he never been disheartened, and keep on practicing. He's actually at the front row. He's almost become the master himself. Why? Because his mind is very fighting. Even though it's low, it's down, then it keep on practicing. If you want to practice for the purpose of being good, then it will become deteriorated and on and on. So it's very important that to observe yourself, your mind. To live in the world, it's good, and practice Dhamma becomes good as well. The things that major things that you want to practice like this and like that, that's the greed. And you are angry with yourself, disheartened, you become sorry about yourself. These are aversion. Do not let these things overtake your mind. So when you keep on observing your mind, the thoughts, what's behind the thoughts? It can be used both in the world and the Dhamma, worldly affairs and the Dhamma affairs. For example, you talk to someone differently. While you talk to these people differently, what's behind the thoughts? No, so whether you have the compassion, like you speak very fiercely, you condemn them with loving kindness or the aversion. But if you like condemn them with a loving kindness, for example, I condemn my monks, but I do with loving kindness. It's not like when you are develop loving kindness and you talk to people the same thing. That's not loving kindness. Your mind is neutral and loving kindness. For example, talking to subordinates, like, oh, you're very good, but the other one, you're very late at work, but then you keep on thinking of the work all the time, so you become late. That's not the way. Otherwise, you'll go bankrupt. So your mind will be just because you'll be aware of your mind, whether it's wholesome or unwholesomeness, whether your mind have the Dhamma. The mind that is Dhamma, the speech and action in different contexts. It doesn't have to be the same. If it's the same, then that's not loving kindness. For example, Lord Buddha, sometimes he condemns, sometimes he admires, sometimes he being indifferent to the monks. Sometimes he cast away the monks. Like some of the group, there was a group of monks. He want to pay respect to the Buddha, and they discuss in huddles and talking very loudly, and the Buddha knows that these group of monks came from the provinces, and they're very startled and get excited and talking to themselves. And the Buddha said that cast them away. Actually, behind that action is actually the great loving, great compassion. The Buddha is fulfilled with the great compassion and loving kindness, but it turned out that he cast away these group of monks. Sometimes the Buddha just speak in a way. For example, Prabhupada can remember all these texts and scriptures, and the Buddha said that quote this monk Prabhupada, which is the blank scriptures, it's only cover. There's only the books. There's no text, which means there's only the book, no text. Actually, the Buddha it's full of compassion, loving kindness, but they talk to different person differently. Your mind needs to be just. Then while practicing, you have to be just to yourself as well, knowing the phenomena in a just way, and read your own mind, what's behind Dhamma practice, whether it's a craving for goodness or for example, wanting the master to admire you. What makes you practice Dhamma? Because for example, you come to give submit homework to me, so you become diligent at Dhamma practice. You have to be aware of yourself like this, so that you become prosper both in the world and the Dhamma affairs. So that should be enough. That should be enough for today, because yesterday is very heavy Dhamma. Number 2. Number 1, your practice good. Number 2, while sitting meditation, I see the bodily sensations away. I can see the thought, the mind thinking, and the mind lost in thoughts. While walking meditation, the body is light, and see the mind wandering through 6 senses. You can see the body feelings and the minds and the 5 aggregates and 4 elements arising and falling away, and not be controlled, non-self. I can see conceit and being the mind is lazy or being diligent. I'm not sure whether my practice is correct. Normally, is the mind like this? Is normally the mind like this? No? Yeah? Good. Now you're controlling the mind. You try to maintain the mind. If you can feel it, that's good. The mind is nice. Can you see that? If you can see that, that's okay. See? If it's not good, no. So if you know that, then it's good. If your mind not good, you know that it's not good, then that's good. But if your mind is good and you didn't know that, that's not good. So whether it's correct or good or not, it depends whether you know it or not. If you know that your mind is wholesome, and you know so, if your mind is unwholesome and you know so, then that's good. This is the aspects of Dhamma practice. Number 2, you maintain the mind, know so. If and the mind is outside, know so as well. Number 3. I become more happy and suffering shorter and shorter, and it's not like different levels of the suffering anymore, but I'm still stuck in the world of happiness, even though I know that it will bring suffering at the end. But then I couldn't control the mind, both in the formal and informal meditation. So I felt that I feel like I don't practice. I'm not sure whether how to accelerate my practice. While doing formal meditations, you have to set aside time every day, and the rest of the time you should be aware of your mind in daily life. For example, to practice Dhamma in daily life, to practice well, you have you can if you can read your mind, observe your mind in the form in daily life. It's not like you try to control and try to stare or forcing controlling yourself. That's the version. To practice Dhamma in daily life, well, you have to be aware of your mind. To do that, once the I see forms, once changes happen within your mind also, know in different way, neutral way. Do not interfere with it. Once the eyes hear sound, the changes within their mind, know have the mindfulness to know so without interfering it. Once the ear hears out, once the nose tastes, tongue tastes, nose smells, whatever you do, once the changes within the mind, have the mindfulness to be aware of it without interfering with it. Then you can cultivate the mindfulness within in daily life. What your practice is good, not that it's not good. Keep on practicing. Then you make progress. When you make progress, there are ups and downs. While practicing, once it down, you shouldn't be disheartened, discouraged. If you know, if you become discouraged, no. So but you never quit. This is the main principle. Then you make progress. The mind is off the base now. Can you see that? If you can see that, that's good. Number two is still off the base. See, you see, your mind is very is smiley, but your mind is condensed, is tight. Why? Because it's unnatural. Try to interfere with the mind. Number one, you're sitting for too long, delusion kicks in. I can see aversion more subtle. I can see suffering arises more and more and rise in a natural way, but it's become shorter and shorter like the time when I don't practice. Sometimes I see the impermanence and thinking and takes so long to become self-aware. Once the knowing arises very often, then the mind becomes happy and complacent. And sometimes it becomes restless again. I have to come back to the breath or the loving kindness for the body so that it becomes calm again. I try to observe the non-self, but I only see the self behind. You don't have to train yourself to observe these things. If you have the mindfulness, the right samadhi, the five aggregates will portray the three characteristics on its own because they are already embedded in. If your mind gain the strength enough, then you don't have to try to see the three characteristics. But if your mind stuck in stillness, then you need to have intentions to contemplate on the three characteristics. But if your mind is natural and normal, is awakened, then once the mindfulness recognizes the body, then it will see that it not ourselves and mental part not us. Whatever it see, they are not us. You don't have to try to make yourself see them. Number one, you don't have to try to make yourself see these things because the wisdom is actually embedded in. Just try to make try to train your mind to be correct first, and then you could see the characteristics on its own. While sitting meditations, the first thing that you have to be aware of is the delusions. You have to be careful about it. Because it become drowsy very easily is not good. The way that we could observe whether it's drowsy or not is when the mind exits out of the samadhi, it's stuck with the drowsiness. You can see that it's actually reflects the truth that while sitting meditations, the strength of the mindfulness is not enough. It's too weak. That's why delusion kicks in. So while sitting meditation, do not ignore the mindfulness or the self-awareness. Breathe out with self-awareness. Breathe in with self-awareness. If you go see in Napanasati, the mindfulness breathing in the scriptures, you see that The Buddha said that everyone do sitting meditations with mindfulness in the presence. Once the body breathing, once breathing out long nose, so breathing in long nose, so breathing out short nose, so breathing in short nose. So all the all the monks, we also see that this is the body breathing out, this is the body breathing in. You see that if you up to this point, there is us who observe the breath. We don't just see the breath and deluded in the breath. There's no separate observers to be aware of it. Anyone know being aware, samniyak in Thai is like being aware or recognize. All people would know this. When you know yourself, you know your true self. What does it mean? It's very difficult to translate here. Samniyak in Thai, like samniyak, it's very difficult to say. It's like recognize or knowing. Because the language in the text is like many years ago, Rama 5 language, Mahajula doing the new Tipitaka, it becomes more modern language. Number one, the mind drift away. See that? When you move now, can you see that? Sense that? Once the body moves now, so if you want to use the breath, then have the mind as observer. But in this phrases, not so many people understand this because most people only stare at the breath and it becomes the vision becomes in the path of the jhana. For the part that said observe the body breathing in, body breathing out. Nobody could recognize this one. But nowadays you would say like if the body breathing out with the mind as observer, if the body breathing out, which is the physical part, and you have the mental part to be, which is the mind as a stable observer. These are two separate things. Till the breath gone, the mind still there. Keep on practicing, number one. Your practice is good, but do not let the mind stuck in the drowsiness. Do not incline the mind towards the stillness like this. You have to be careful about it. Do not let the delusion come in. Number 4. I practice about 3 hours a day. It's a part of my life like eating food. I see less developments, but it's become more subtle. I could be aware of it, sometimes I couldn't. I just only laughed it out. The mind is more smiley. I can see more suffering, so I can let go. I can separate the aggregates. I'm not sure whether I fabricate it. I'm not sure whether I fabricate it or not. You actually can see it. Luangpu said that. Your practice is good. Continue practicing. Keep learning about your mind. Number 5. These bad memories in the past resurfacing within the mind. This is why there are lots of aversion. It keep happening. Sometimes I can get out of the zone, but I felt very angry sometimes. It lasts very long. But normally I would walk meditations, not do sitting. Can you kindly suggest? Just walk. Keep on walking. Once the mind are overwhelmed by the past incident, do not try to make it disappear. Just try to see that the mind develops suffering. Now the mind is suffering. Knew this. Most of the time, when the mind thinking of the past, there's an aversion arises, the first aversion thoughts, and you try to fix it. Do not fix it. Just observe that once the aversion, angry thoughts arises, then suffering arises altogether. Notice one, then it will become tired of it. Number 6, I do walking meditations and chanting and see the mind that keep on thinking and also about 1 or 3 hours. Sometimes I do sitting meditation. In daily life, I try to observe the body and mind and see that I would get separated. Sometimes the mind is confused because by the self within the body. Sometimes I could see the cover in the middle of my chest, and sometimes the mind attached the objects and the self arises. Normally, I could see the wandering minds and aversion, but lately I could see the greed and conceitedness as well. Could you kindly suggest? Paul said that continue practicing without expecting anything, then you can make progress. At the beginning, you can see the version that's good because it's very easy to observe. Once you can observe the versions, then the mindfulness and samadhi will be stronger and stronger. You can see the greed as well. Then the last, once you gain some strength of the samadhi and mindfulness, you can see the delusion as well. This is the most subtle one. So you walk the right path. Walk right step. Number 7. I practice in formal meditations in daily life by observing the mind that moves all day long. I knew that while on mobile phones take it's very long for me to wandering away. Sometimes I could see the wavering bits in the middle of my forehead. And once the self-awareness comes, then I could see things clearer. While sweeping the floor, I could see that the body is like the leaves. Is there anything that I could improve? The Lord said that do not try to maintain the mind to be still, otherwise you'll be condensed. Just know it's a natural way. Then you can see that the mind ups and downs. It's happiness and suffering. It's good and bad keeps circling, and we cannot control it. There's only things that we cannot control. Just let it work and keep on knowing them. Do not try to maintain it to be still. To make it better, do not burn the leaves, destroying the environment. Yes, we don't burn the leaves. We collect the leaves and put in as fertilizers for the trees. Number 8. I practice by listening to the Dhamma, your teachings while driving and walking, sitting meditation in daily life. Whatever happens, I make contact with my mind. So I try to come back to observe my feelings first, but then I can control my behavior good enough. I'm not sure whether I can separate the aggregates or not. Can you kindly suggest how to see the Dhamma more clearly? You can actually separate the aggregates, not through thinking or understanding the vocabs. Actually, you can keep knowing as much as you can. Continue practicing, keep more progress. Do not hurry. The more you hurry, the more slower you get. Because once you hurry because of the greed. So be in the present. Whatever happens in the present moment, know so. If the mind changes, know so as well. Keep on knowing. Do not let the craving takes over you. It's like when we're eating food, do not hurry, otherwise you're stuck in your throat. Then you become satiated. Keep on practicing good. Number 8 says one thing that you have to be careful is when you are accustomed to try to pull in the mind to be still. Do not pull in the mind like that. Do not interfere with the mind. If it's calm, know so. It's restless, know so as well. But if you want to take some rest, then just try to be aware of the objects that makes you happy, then it will become calm on its own. Do not pull in the mind, otherwise you'll get used to it. If you're used to it, then it's like you're controlling your mind. Your mind is not going to be natural. Do not think too much, number 8. You're thinking too much. Do not think that how to practice Dhamma, how can we make it good. Do not think too much like that. Be in the present. Once the body moves, know so. The mind changes, know so. Keep on knowing as much as you can. You don't have to know it all the time. And then it will become more frequent, and the lost mind will be shorter and shorter. If you try not to wandering away, then that's me. You're 100% controlling yourself. Do not try to make attempt to not wandering away. Otherwise, you're controlling yourself too much. Just be normal and natural. So that should be enough for today. There's a lot of monks, a lot of visiting monks, about 30 monks.